We're going to go through this unemployment and employment chapter. We're going to be needing to investigate data patterns to describe the main features and trends in Ireland's labour force in relation to factors such as age, population, gender, geographic location, employment and unemployment. We need to investigate the causes of unemployment in Ireland context and evaluate its impact on the individual and the economy, and examine the relationship between employment and poverty. We've kind of discussed this a lot in class, haven't we? About how sometimes people get caught in a specific trap. Now, boring work, I know, but work that needs to be done. The introduction, it's the goal of every government with a modern economy to achieve a high level of employment for the following reasons. Higher tax take, so government current revenue, in the form of income taxes. The more we have people working, the more tax they're going to pay. Less current government spending on social welfare payments, to empower individuals to continuously advance their careers and earning capacity, to offer a diverse, skilled labour pool to attract foreign direct investment, and to cultivate a thriving ecosystem of Indigenous businesses, Irish businesses, in case anybody is unsure there. So how do we get full employment? You need to know what full employment is. This exists when everybody seeking work is employed at existing wage rates. Full employment happens when a sustained period of economic growth occurs, and as the economy grows, people earn more money and also spend more on goods and services. Unemployment is all those seeking work at existing wage rates but are unable to find work. The following are the different types of unemployment. Frictional unemployment. That refers to people who are between jobs and looking for work. It arises because of change or friction in particular markets, and it occurs when people's preferences or tastes change and thus alter demand for products, with knock-on effects and reduced demand for labour. This means that there are always people who are losing their jobs, switching jobs, or entering or leaving the workforce. It's usually short term, as workers need to find new employment. So it might be a case where something was really popular for a while, making knitted jumpers. Actually, let's change that up. The hand sanitizer at the minute is really popular, isn't it? And people are making it in Ireland. So that would be providing more jobs. Well, in the future, it may not be as popular. So that might take some jobs away, okay? Seasonal employment. Seasonal employment occurs when some members of the workforce are employed for only a certain part of the year, and this occurs as the demand for labour moves in line with the seasonality of the work. For example, a student picking strawberries during the summer, hotels reducing the number of people employed at the end of the summer season. I think that's kind of straightforward there. Cyclical unemployment. I know there's a bit of a shine on the video, sorry. Cyclical unemployment results from, my nail girl told me to do this, that it stops a little bit of the shine. Let's see. Well, we'll work it out. So this results from reduced demands for goods and services during an economic recession, and this type of unemployment arises due to fluctuations in the business cycle, or the Keynesian unemployment. In theory, those who lose their jobs in the downturn should be rehired in the recovery phase of the cycle. So cyclical unemployment results from reduced demands in goods for services. Okay. Structural unemployment. That refers to those who have become employed because their skills are no longer in demand due to technical progress or competition. It occurs when an industry goes into decline because of changing demands for the industry's products. Often workers have industry-specific skills, which makes it more difficult to find new employment. For example, the closure of shipbuilding or car manufacturing firm may cause long-term unemployment due to the mismatch between job vacancies and the skills of the unemployed. And institutional unemployment, that arises because there are obstacles preventing the mobility of labour. For example, lack of housing in other regions or the refusal of foreign governments to grant work permits. Now, the employment data set. The Employment Force Survey is a large-scale national survey of households in Ireland. Each quarter of the LFS produces data on unemployment, employment, labour force participation and occupation, as well as a sectoral, demographic and geographic breakdown. The LFS also collects data on social topics through the inclusion of special survey models to generate specific insights. Investigating data for insights. Now, straighten up the little book there. Okay. In order to investigate the labour force data for insights, you need to know what information you're looking for and what it means. For example, if you want to describe the main features and trends in Ireland's labour force in relation to factors such as age, population, gender, geographic location, employment and unemployment, then you would need to find the answers and follow the questions. How many more or fewer people are in employment in the latest data set compared to last year? 2. How many more or fewer people are recorded as unemployed in the later data set compared to last year? 3. How much has male unemployment changed over the last year? 4. How has male employment as a percentage of the labour force changed over the last year? 5. How much has female unemployment changed over the last year? 6. How has female employment as a percentage of the labour force changed over the last year? So here we've got economic, gender and quarter. We've got employment in the hundreds of thousands, both genders, male and female. So here in year 1, both genders we had 2,164,200. In year 2 we had 2,231,000. So our change in number is 66,800. The percentage is 3.09. So here you can see, for example, in male, it actually increased. Do we see that? It went from 1171.5 to 1206. The females increased as well. And it has a change in the amount of numbers, okay? And here, the percentage change. So a percentage change is an easy mathematical thing to do, okay? The unemployed, both genders are 167.5. And here you can see in quarter 2, the unemployed fell. That's because the employment increased, if you can spot that. For the male, you can see it fell. We know that's because it increased up here. And for the female, we can see it fell because it increased up here. The labour force, both genders. So here we can see that it has increased. It's increased from the males, it's increased from the females. So here we have the outcome of the table. There was an annual increase in employment of 3.09%. Okay. Or 66,800 from one year to the next, bringing total unemployment to 2,231,000. Bringing total employment, There was an annual decrease in unemployment of 13.97 or 23,400 from one year to the next, bringing a total unemployment to 144,100. So do you see here? Okay, so both genders, it reduced to 144,100, total decrease of 13.97%. Here the change in number is 23,400. Okay. Male unemployment fell by 12,200 over the year, which represents a decline of 12.76. So we can see that here, look. We can see it fell. This is the number it fell by. This is the percentage it fell by. Male employment as a percentage of the male labour force at the end of year 1 was 92.45%. This grew to 93.25% over the course of the year, which demonstrate that more men in the workforce became employed, which is consistent with point 3 above. So here you're looking at point 4 and point 4. Do you see the males? And they're telling you that the males in employment grew. It changed by 35,100 or a 3% increase. And down here, overall in the labour force, they're looking at the males. And you can see that grew. There was a change in number of 22,800 and a 1.80% increase. Now, we're going to probably struggle here a little bit because we need to go over and back. So what I might do is I might just call out the number. Oh no, we've only got 2 more. It's okay. So 5, female unemployment fell by 11,100 over the year, which represents a decline of 15.44%. So there's your 0.5, 11,100, 15.44%. And 6, female employment as a percentage of the female labour force at the end of the year. 1 was 93.24%, and this grew to 94.39% over the course of the year, which demonstrates that more women in the labour force became employed, which is consistent with 0.5 above. Okay, so now let's delve more deeply into the data to identify other trends by asking the following questions. What's the ratio of women to men who can undertake home duties, and how has that changed over the year? What percentage of men and women are in employment, and how has that changed over the year? How have employment levels changed for each group over the past year, and how has employment changed in regions around Ireland over the past year? So here we've got males at work, okay, has increased from Q4 in year 1 to Q4 in year 2. The unemployed has decreased, students have increased, home duties have increased, retired has increased, other has increased, so the total males overall have increased. Females at work has increased, unemployed has decreased, students have increased, home duties have decreased, retired people have increased, and other has increased. So based on this data, we can answer the previous questions as follows. There was 423,500 women whose principal economic status was home duties compared to 8,800 men at Q4 year 1. This represents a 48-to-1 ratio, and this changed dramatically over the year from 17:1. At Q4 year 1, 61.39% of all men aged 15 or over were in employment, but this fell slightly to 61.13% over the year. In contrast, 49.36% of women aged over 15 or over were in employment, and this remains stable at 49.38% over the course of the year. So here you've got year 1, year 2, the males and the females, and the breakdown of the age group. Okay, so this is quite important at the minute, the breakdown of the age group, because they're saying a lot of the people who lost their jobs, okay, during the pandemic, sorry, the light is kind of bad there, isn't it? During the pandemic, well, those people would have been in this age bracket between the 15 to 24 and 25 to 34, because a lot of those would have worked in pubs and restaurants and things. Male youth employment fell from year 1 to year 2, and in the 15 to 19 category, the same could be said in the 20 to 24 age group. Why do you think this may have happened? So these are the types of questions that you'll need to do. You'll need to be able to look up here, okay, look at the males. This is the male youth unemployment, okay. Why did it fall by 700 people? These are the kind of things that you'd have to look at. In all other categories except for the 55 to 59 age group, and indeed in the total figure, the male employment rate has risen. Interestingly, the very same trend can be seen in the female category. However, it's noteworthy that the total female employment grew considerably more than the male employment rate, which is consistent with our findings. So you can see the females grew much larger than the males. So here we've got different kind of regions. We've got the Border, Midland and Western. We've got the Southern and Eastern, and we've got the Dublin. So we've got Q4 year 1, Q4 year 2, and the percentage change. So in employment, we had 543,100. It increased to 567,300. The unemployment decreased because obviously employment increased. The labour force increased, the unemployment rate between 15 to 74 decreased overall, and the participation rate very, very slight change. So they've actually put in nothing. Do you see that? Because it was only a 0.1%. The southern and eastern region, we've got in employment 1,621,100, 1,663. So we can see it increased by 3%. The unemployed, instead of me calling out all the figures, you can see it decreased by 7%. The labour force increased, the unemployment rate decreased, and the participation rate, no change. In employment in the Dublin region increased by 2%, the unemployed fell by 6%, the labour force increased by 1%, the unemployment rate went down by 6%, and the participation rate had no change. So